Hailing from the great cold state of Alaska, I am the Frozen Gamer 87, and welcome to Dads in Gaming, where I interview fellow dads who are not only gamers but content creators. That content may or may not be gaming related, but every one of these gentlemen are passionate both about video games and being dads. Joining me today for the 10th Dads in Gaming is yet another very special guest. He is the man who has never been to prison, but if he had, he would have been breaking rocks with chains on his legs, eaten nothing but gruel, and dealt daily with dementors. He streams regularly on Twitch, and when he is not taking long walks on the beach with his PS5 in tow, or raising money to keep himself beard up, he produces content for Instagram and YouTube. He is none other than BeerMoneyVic, also known as Victor Herrera. How are you doing today, Vic?
Hey now, what's good? It took me a minute to realize what you were doing there with that intro, and then you said the Dementors, and I'm like, oh yes, of course, of course. Our good friend and my counterpart, good old Prison Mike.
Prison Mike.
I stole things and kidnapped the president's daughter, and I never got caught.
I forgot about that part. So how are you doing, man?
I'm doing excellent. Just wrapping up another busy day in the life of fatherhood and husbandhood. Just made that up. So yeah, here we are. The sun has set, the stars tingle in the sky, and it's time to just kick back and do our thing.
Yeah, sounds good, man. All right, well, before we get into the main part of the interview, what are you currently playing?
Oh, so just started getting a bunch of free time back after my family and I moved. So the first big free night I had, I started up Starfield. I've been sitting on that one, being very patient, waiting for updates, patches, yada yada. And I think this is a perfect time because we have such a kind of a weird gap in gaming right now where there's not really anything huge coming out. It's kind of a quiet summer. And I'm like, this is a great time to start up Starfield. Same thing, the same method I used with Cyberpunk. I kind of sat on it, let it cook, let it sit in the oven a little bit longer, and then booyah. I had a nice filet mignon when it was done, as opposed to whatever that raw stuff people ate at the beginning at launch, you know? And I'm about 4 hours into Starfield, and I'm already thinking about the next 5 quests, missions I want to do. So it definitely didn't take long to get its hooks in me. I am a big Bethesda fan. Skyrim's my all-time favorite game. I really enjoy the Fallout games. And even though Bethesda doesn't really develop the Doom games or Wolfenstein, they do have a big part in publishing and putting, I think, their touch on it. So I'm a huge fan of Bethesda, and Starfield has been a great experience so far.
Very nice. Yeah, I enjoyed Starfield quite a bit. I never finished it. I got I think I want to say maybe 80 hours or so in, and then I mostly stopped playing because I got really tired of the carry limits. They just really got on my nerves. And of course, knowing that eventually they were going to bring vehicles in, so now I'm just still kind of waiting for the vehicles to come in, and then once the vehicles are in, I'm back into the game. So.
Absolutely, yeah, and I'm kind of hoping that comes in while I'm playing it still, or if not, maybe when I come back for the DLC later this fall. Also, you're a big mod guy. I'm surprised you didn't play it modded that would take off those carry restrictions. No?
Well, I tried some different mods. That was not one I specifically looked for, but it wasn't the only issue I had with it. It was just it was the biggest thing that was really getting on my nerves. And gotcha. I can't remember if there were any mods like that, because I started during the early access period. So
gotcha. Okay.
And so some of the mods kind of broke as they updated the game. So
yes. Well, now actually for console, I'm playing it on an Xbox Series X. The Creations Club's the thing. So I was looking up some videos earlier about some good mods to get. And I was kind of looking for texture mods, things that could make environments pop a little more. I didn't see anything like that. It was mostly aesthetics. This is a mod kit that unlocks pirate gear and stuff like that, which is cool. I'll check out this one other mod I'm gonna get that had more beard styles and stuff, like mutton chops, things like that. So I'm definitely gonna check that out. But nothing I saw that was really graphic related, which is fine. The game looks pretty good so far, but I'll keep digging.
Yeah, most of the ones that they had early on were more just recoloring things to make it look better. And I mean, I liked all the things they did. My favorite one was probably one where they made the inventory much more like condensed in a way that it made sense, instead of just being like a huge big blocks for everything and just a pain to get through most of the time. But
Yes, yeah. One thing is with Fallout and Skyrim is the menus can seem like they don't use the space properly. Like they'll be like the item you're looking at like this, and then you have this much space around it. It's just nothing, and then because of that, now the text and descriptions is like yay big, and I'm like that little grandma adjusting her glasses, looking at the screen like, is that HP 10 or 100? You know, so
yeah. All right. Well, you stream on Twitch. You have a YouTube channel. And you use Instagram as part of your content creation. So what are each of these about? And specifically for those people who aren't already familiar with it.
Sure. So Twitch, I just stream casually. I do it when I have time and when I feel like it, because when I like to stream, I like to be on, what they call on, you know. You got to be upbeat, sit up straight, you know, hold all your gas in, you know, don't no, not that last part, but you just have to bring out yourself and let yourself shine to make everybody a pleasant experience, not just for yourself, the one gaming, but also the people watching. So absolutely, first and foremost, it's when I have time to and feel like it. There's sometimes when I start gaming at 10:30, 11 at night, and it's too late to start a stream. I'm not going to do that. So if it's early enough and I feel like it, I'll do it. And it's just whatever I'm playing at that time. I'm not streaming the game day one, you know, a new release date. I'm playing it and enjoying those opening hours solo on my own. Also, if I know I'm in a narrative heavy part of a game, like I was streaming a lot of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and if I knew I was going to have a story narrative heavy part of the game, I'm not going to stream that. That's just not interesting to have 20-minute straight cutscenes, things like that. However, if my last playthrough ended as I entered a dungeon and I have a new class or job that I unlocked, that's going to be exciting stuff. So I want to stream this. And it works out pretty good. Also, I tried to do a Thirsty Thursday Night Thunder deal where me and a couple guys play through Borderlands. Right now, we're on Borderlands 3, and that's always really fun because it's really fun to just capture that hang. And also, Borderlands is a very action-heavy series, so there's always going to be something fun going on. A cutscene will last no longer than 30 seconds in that game, and if it comes up, you can skip it, you know?
Yep.
So I try to do that. And the YouTube is only there to archive my Twitch streams. I don't do anything else. I don't do any kind of editing. It's just the raw stream imported to YouTube. I pay little attention to it, to be honest. I just like having an archive because I'm the kind of person, I like to archive my life. I've always been like that. I have so many things. You can see my closet behind me. I have a few boxes in there of just things throughout my life. I mentioned earlier that I had just moved. I found a shoebox with a bunch of old magazines from my teenager years that I just kept in there, like in mint condition. Like they've been kept away from the sun. There's no yellowing, no crinkly pages. They're just Rolling Stone magazines, you know, Hit Parader, if you're into the, you know, if you listen to rock or metal music back then. Like I have a bunch of those, even old catalogs that I would order my t-shirts from. I have a bunch of those saved, and it was just such a crazy trip to open that shoebox. I wonder what's in this. Oh, right, this is all that stuff I saved. So it's not taking up space. I wouldn't call myself too much of a pack rat, but I just like to archive my life. I had a VHS camcorder when I was growing up. I have so many tapes. Nathan, have you seen the movie American Beauty?
No.
Kevin Spacey. Okay.
I'm familiar with what it is, but I haven't seen it.
Okay, so I would just record anything and everything. If I was hanging out at my cousin's house for the night, I would just record us hanging out playing Crash Team Racing. Nice. Or driving to the Taco Bell at midnight. You know what I mean? I would just record that. And those tapes are just behind me, like in storage. Like I just like documenting my life. And then later on, and as I became a young adult, my 20s, I upgraded to a little mini disc player, a Sony Handycam. And I have so many discs of those, of just similar things, hanging out with my friends, doing stuff like, so Twitch I'm like, I kind of want to document the games I'm playing. I have no idea why. I just want to do it. I just want to keep those records. Maybe when my son, I have a 6-year-old son, maybe when he grows up, he can see the stuff I played, how I played it, and it's just there. I don't want to predict the future, but I'm gonna think YouTube would be around in 15 years maybe, and those streams, those videos of me playing stuff will still be there. And he can actually hear the conversations I'm having with my friends, how we're updating each other on where we're at in our life, what I did that day, the stuff I'm drinking, the food I'm eating. And that'll be there in like a time capsule. I just think that's such a neat idea. And maybe in 30 years, I'll go back and watch them when I'm retired and have nothing to do that day, you know? So that's just where that's headed. So long story. That's basically why I'm doing it. And, you know.
And that's actually a really good reason. I mean, we think about just how short life can be. And, I mean, especially with, Gabe having passed away, 42 years old. And, the fact that so much of his life is preserved, his legacy through the podcast, 600 episodes minus like the 1 or 2 that he missed.
Yeah.
And,
which I think is amazing, by the way. And that's what someone brought that up on our podcast, not our podcast, the MTTG podcast we listen to. Someone brought that up, and that exactly clicked in my mind. And like, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Not for that reason, not for that dark reason, but I just want it there in case maybe my wife will want to watch those one day. Right. And there they are. Like at this point, there's, I don't know, dozens, if not hundreds of hours of me on YouTube. Yeah. Just talking, and that could be there for at a later time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, another thing is like, I think of, I mean, both of my parents are gone, and so I have gone back to home movies. Like after my dad passed away, I grabbed all of the old home movies we had, and I digitized all of them, put them on DVDs, and messed with them. Did like Frasier intros for each little section and stuff like that. I just I went crazy with it. I put a lot of time into it, but it's preserved now in a more distinct way. I mean, of course, I still have the VHS tapes as well, but it was interesting going back to those memories and remembering how I felt when I was a kid, when my dad would show affection to me, and how much I appreciate that now as an adult, as a father, missing my dad and everything. And, the fact that you're doing it for that purpose is really good. I think it's fantastic that you're doing that.
Totally. And it's fun. Besides all that, the factor of life, it's weird. It's just fun to do. I don't know. Let's go back a couple steps about, like, I'm on social media. There is a voyeuristic like attraction that I have about life, about exposing my life to the world. I like the idea of sharing myself to the world, not just my family. Like, everything's public. Like, my Instagram is public, YouTube's public. Like, whoever wants to watch it, I going back to my youth as recording myself, recording stuff we were doing or whatever. And I think that's something, that's why streaming, vlogging, reality TV is also popular, because we're such a voyeuristic society. And I'm on board with that. That's fine. I have nothing to hide. I just like sharing my interests, myself, my personality, everything with the world, so it's just really fun to do, to just turn the camera on, and there I am for the whole world to see. Whoever wants to pop in, enjoy the show. I got the reverse peephole like Kramer's apartment. So the first couple times I streamed, when I was getting my bearings with my old PlayStation camera and stuff, I would do it for 10-15 minutes at a time, just to like see how it was, what I was doing wrong. And when I was done recording, I'm like, I want to do it again. Like, I could see why people enjoy doing it. It's just this weird addiction, not addiction, but it's fun. It's hard. It's hard to explain why, but I really enjoy it. And now that I'm, grounded here again. I got everything. I got my whole stuff here. My setup is working properly. Everything's plugged in the right spots. I really am really excited to get going when resuming it. You know, it's been like 6, 7, 8 weeks or so, I think, since I last streamed it. I'm really excited to get going again.
Very nice. Now, maybe you did answer this as part of that, but Instagram.
I don't think so.
What do you do?
I didn't.
What do you do with Instagram?
So Instagram. I just like it's game. So I have 2 Instagram accounts. One is personal, which is also open for everybody, but I have one that is gaming focused. And I just share what I'm thinking that day. You know, if a trailer comes out, I comment on it. I take snapshots of a screenshot. If like so I'll take a lot of game footage as I'm playing it, whether I'm streaming or not. And I'll go back and I'll filter out, like, that's a good screenshot. I like the colors here on the way this beach looks, the way the sun is hitting. Like, I'm playing Like a Dragon. Infinite Wealth takes place in Hawaii. I got this killer shot of the gang on the beach. Snap a photo, bust out my tripod, my iPhone, get the angles right, and I'll include my gaming setup or just the screen, however I'm feeling. And then I have a very photogenic shot now of the screenshot that looks really nice, plus my little gaming, the Govi, the lights, like the hexagon lights or whatever. I had that set up, so I got the hexagon lights on like a sunset mode. I got a sunset on the screen, and I'll try to get a photogenic shot. I'll use some filters to make it pop, and then there's my photo, or there's my post right there. And then I'll just in the comments, I'll just comment on what I was doing that day with the game, this and that. So I wanted to start that because, again, going back to sharing my interest with the world, I started sharing gaming stuff on my like regular Instagram account, which is mostly friends and family who are not. I'm the only gamer in my family.
Yeah. So
I felt kind of weird doing some posts gaming related that nobody knew it was. Nobody. I usually use it to share pictures of family, or whatever else. If I went to a concert or whatever. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna start a second account that's just gaming related, and I could post whatever I want. I won't feel weird about my sister-in-law seeing, like, who doesn't even know what a PlayStation is. Like, you know, I just felt better about sharing it. And I did. I started that about 2 years ago. And right now I float, depending how the bots are feeling that day, I float around 200 followers. I'm not doing it for followers or likes. I'm just doing it to appease myself first and foremost. But there's a lot of people on there that I kind of, when I open it, I chat with. You know, there's a messaging feature on Instagram. And just like a Discord server that I'm in, I open Instagram and there's a whole nother community that I have there that we talk about. Oh, I saw you rolled credits on Infinite Wealth. How'd you like it? Oh, I thought it was great. Strongly recommend. In fact, it's on sale right now. $30. Hit it up. You know, things like that. So it's just another aspect of a way to talk about my passions with other people with familiar interests. And just complete strangers. Just people you meet online. Like, I am extremely introverted in person. I don't like going where there's crowds. I prefer to just be at home. But when it comes to the social media life, Discord, Instagram, whatever, I am extremely social. Maybe it's because that's where I go for my interests. You know, maybe if I met a guy at the salad bar at Hardee's or whatever, and I saw him with a BioShock shirt, I'll start up a conversation, you know? So I'm very introverted, but when it comes to my interests, whether it be NFL football or like gaming, I that's when I come out, you know. Other than that, I kind of don't want to see or talk to anybody. Yeah. So it's even though I'm extremely introverted, when it comes to that kind of stuff, I'll seek out people. I'll meet people online and play games with them and not feel weird about it. People think it's weird that I meet people online and play games with them, even meet them in person. People might think that's strange, but you know, that's the world we live in. We find connections in new ways, and I think that's awesome.
Very much so. What is the origin story for your gamer tag, BeerMoneyVic?
Okay, so I used to use a different screen name for almost everything. Email, registering for Gmail, whatever. I used to go by Vic Nasty. And I used to go by that because my friends would make fun of me, kind of, because I had no shame in my how free spirited I was. Like, if we were at a buffet and like a piece of pizza hit the floor, I would pick it up, dust it off, keep eating it. If I found a hair in my food at Burger King, just pick the hair off, keep eating my Whopper. I'm not gonna go get a new one. Like, not a big deal to me. So they would just think I was kind of gross like that. So they nicknamed me that, and I just went with that. As I got old, that was my teenage years. As I got older, into my early 30s, let's say, I'm like, I kind of don't like using this name anymore. It kind of sounds kind of weird. And when I joined the MTTG Discord, I didn't want to carry that name over. I wanted a new name. I didn't want to introduce myself to people with that name. So the beer money thing goes back to, I used to listen to a lot of sports talk radio. This was back when I would drive for a living, a truck. So I would listen to sports talk almost all day, to the point where I would be a caller. And a lot of things I noticed, a lot of callers, they would have a nickname for themselves. There was this guy, he called himself White Sox Dave. There was another guy that called him what was it? I think Dog Walker John or something. So I'm like, okay, if I call in, what am I gonna be? And I came up with BeerMoneyVic because Beer Money is kind of like I don't know what you call it. It's just like a weird. Every guy knows what I'm talking about, or every beer enthusiast knows what I'm talking about. Like, if they have to make decisions when it comes to money or budgeting, like, beer money is like gold. Like, if you got leftover money, if you got extra money for beer, that's a good thing. So I kind of wanted to bring that that fun flavor, the fun idea of that, and I just combined it with obviously my name, Victor. So. BeerMoneyVic it was, and I started, when I came up with the idea, like, I was just thinking one day, and I started searching like Gmail, Discord, PlayStation, because my PlayStation handle was Vic Nasty. BeerMoneyVic was available everywhere. There was no other BeerMoneyVic out there. It was just me. So that's what I did. And even when I started my Instagram page, now the Instagram thing, my handle is BeerMoneyGaming, because and YouTube, because I wanted to show within the name itself that it was gaming focused, because BeerMoneyVic, that can mean anything. That has no meaning really. So BeerMoneyGaming, no, it's you're coming and getting games or whatever. So that's the point behind that. So and still, even Xbox, I signed up. BeerMoneyVic was there, which I signed up for recently. So it's nice having a name too that's very simple, straightforward, no numbers, no one in the eye, nothing like that. Everything was just was available. So another plus.
Very nice. Well, you kind of already answered this, but what led you to create content for these different sources? Was it just for the archiving of your life, essentially, or?
Yeah, basically that, and I wanted to just express my interests. I was when I started getting into gaming-related content on Instagram, I saw a lot of other pages that were just people showing off their gaming setups, showing off their physical collection, showing off a game they just started, and I wanted to be part of that. It immediately inspired me, and saying, like, yes, this is something I'd want to share. This is something that I kind of want to get into. Not to say it's a hobby or anything, but it's just something extra for me to occupy my time, and something to create. Like, I'm not making a clay ashtray for my mom or whatever. I'm creating something digital or whatever, but it's still something that I feel like I have my personality, my flair, my touch on, and I like that. I think it's cool to set up a camera, get lighting right, pick not just a filter but auto color correcting, making sure the reds look really good if it's like a Valentine's Day themed post, making sure the reds and pinks look really good, things like that. Like, I think it's real fun. It can be a little time consuming, and there's times when I just don't feel like doing it. I just want to, even if it takes up 30 to 45 minutes of my time, that's like precious gaming time. Some days I feel like it, sometimes I don't, and I've been very dark on there recently, because I've been very busy, but I look forward to posting stuff on Instagram again pretty soon, more consistently like I was before. But yeah, it was just for me to express my passion and creativity to the world, to whoever wants to come and check it out.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how long has it been since you started each of these?
Oh, okay. So the Instagram thing, I've been on there forever, but actually starting a gaming page and posting gaming content, I want to say a year and a half. I started like January 1st, like 2022 or something like that, I think.
Okay.
I think I could go back and look, but I remember just like it was my New Year's thing to do. I'm gonna start this Instagram page, and it's gonna be all my gaming stuff, my you know. And it was crazy that like I start from nothing, 0 followers, whatever, and because I can go create a thing right now, and just all my friends and family see me on there, and people I know in life. But this is all just 200 people that I never met before. Mm-hmm. That I just started slowly building a little group that I like to check in with, and it's still growing a little bit here and there, and it's fun. I think it's really cool that a couple years ago I didn't know these people or be part of this, and now I am, and I think it's really fun. It's making, you know, and people stay off social media for a lot of reasons, the toxicity, time consuming, whatever.
Right.
Like I make time for that when I have free time. I'm not at the dinner table, hold on, I gotta reply to this post, or on the way to work at a stoplight, like, okay, I gotta, like, you know, do this real quick. Like, no. Once my family's needs are met, once my kid's asleep or he's preoccupied or whatever, it's strictly a hobby thing. It's not my life. It's not, you know, if I don't check in for a week, I don't check in for a week. You know, life happens. What are you gonna do? So I started the Instagram thing about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Streaming, I think 3 years.
Okay.
2 years, 3 years. I don't know. I forget. But I'm all fairly new to this. I'm all fairly new, and it's not like anybody taught me like how to stream. Like, you just watch a few videos, you learn as you go along, and I'm still tinkering with setups and things like that. Since I wanted to start a clean slate since I moved, I created all new overlays and stuff. I went into Adobe and made some new overlays, and I'm really happy to show them off once I start streaming again. And yeah, so Twitch, about 2-3 years. Instagram, a couple more years. Also, I like being on Threads. I have a Twitter account, but I only use it for like sports news and things like that, because a lot of the sports reporters I follow are on there. I signed up for Threads. So you know what Threads is, Nathan?
I've heard of it, but I can't remember what it is.
So it's Zuckerberg's, you know, answer or version of Twitter. It's a meta thing. So when Threads launched a year ago, I signed up for Threads hoping that it would kind of eat Twitter, because last year is about when, a few months into Elon Musk's tenure, I believe, as the owner or whatever you want to call it, and a lot of people were complaining about Twitter, how ugly it was, how Elon Musk was doing some weird things with algorithms or whatever. So I was kind of hoping that Threads would become the new standard for short form, you know, blog posting, journal, whatever you want to call it, whatever Twitter is called these days. But it didn't. So I'm active on there now, because there's a lot of people on there because it's tied in with Instagram and Facebook. I'm not on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. But when I started up Threads, a lot of the people that I was friendly with on Instagram were already there, also signed up. So I do post content on Threads also under Beer Money Gaming, same thing, because it's tied in with Instagram. So I do post stuff there. That's more of my, like, I don't know, like if I'm going to make a comment on anything that happened in the news or whatever, that's where I'll do it. Or just post a copy of my new Starfield Steelbook. I'll do it there, you know. So I'm also on there, but yeah, everything else has just been in terms of creating content, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, if you call that creation. Yeah, pretty new, 2-3 years.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when did you get your start in gaming? On what platform and with what game?
Oh, okay. My start goes all the way back to the Atari 2600. I would think my earliest gaming memory is playing River Raid on the 2600, which is a top-down, like, aerial flight game. You're just this jet. You familiar with it?
No.
River Raid? No. Okay. You were nodding like, oh, he knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, so it's just this top-down game. You're flying a plane, just going over dams, rivers, pew pew. My next biggest gaming memory is my older brother getting the NES for Christmas, and him and my dad trying to hook it up to the TV, which I remember them having a hard time. I think I was 5, 6, 7 years old at the time, but I remember them having a hard time hooking it up. And I remember the screen kept flashing or something. And looking back on it now, I'm like, why were they having such a hard time? Because it's just either the 3 cables or the RF switch, you know, the RF connector. So I'm like, I wonder why they're having such a hard time to pick it up. But that's my other earliest memory, is my older brother getting the Nintendo for Christmas. And then obviously me and my younger brother would also play on that. We'd be very active. And that's when I started gaming, was with the Nintendo. Playing the Ninja Turtles games, all the Marios, 1, 2, 3, Tetris, you name it, Blades of Steel, Tecmo Bowl, all that stuff. I still have a Punch Out. I still have a lot of them packed up behind me. I have not wanted to get rid of that. You know, not that it was my call as a kid. My mom just never got rid of it. And as a teenager, I think I found it in our attic, packed away, and I'm like, this is mine. Like, I still have my Super Nintendo. I have everything still. The Nintendo I have is not the original Nintendo, just the games. I went out and bought a Nintendo on eBay back when eBay was new. And I haven't hooked it up or anything. It might work, might not, but I just have a console in case, you know. So
right.
Yeah, so it started with the Atari, and then obviously the Nintendo, and then I had everything since there. Super Nintendo and 64. And then I was a PlayStation guy after that. I jumped boats to PlayStation because the turning point was the Nintendo 64. Then the PlayStation 1 comes out. And I'm kind of jealous that all the cool games are playing on there, because I was getting to be a teenager at that time, like a 12-year-old, 13-year-old. Yeah. They were playing stuff like Twisted Metal. What else was on there that was like adult, like, you know, not adult like, but you know what I mean? Like, right. I was kind of over the Mario thing at that age. I was looking over the fence like, oh, look what they're playing over there. You know, they're playing Resident Evil and Twisted Metal. And here I am with like Star Fox, you know, which was fine. But that time had passed in my life. So when it was time to get a new console, the GameCube came out and the PlayStation 2. And I chose the PlayStation 2 along with the first game I got with it was Twisted Metal Black. And I never looked back. I've been a PlayStation guy ever since. And that's it. You know, I never looked back. Now I do have a Wii and a Switch to complement the PlayStation, but for like my main console gaming for years and years now has been to prefer PlayStation brand. So, and that's where I am today.
Works for me. All right, so what are your top 5 games of all time?
Oh, yeah.
Or if you don't know all time, what are your top 5 right now?
No, I got all time. I could answer for you. So number 1 with a bullet, Skyrim. We have Conversations. What game made you a gamer? Skyrim for me, because I've been playing games almost my whole life. But Skyrim is what made me capital G gamer. Once Skyrim came out, it really opened my world to what games could be. Because before that, it was just sports games I would play. The occasional action game. A lot of Grand Theft Auto, Madden, a lot of racing games too. Racing games were big back in the early 2000s. Like Need for Speed was good. Like Gran Turismo was hitting its stride. Things like that. But then Skyrim came out, and it was like the first. I'm pretty sure it's the first open world game I've ever played. And it really, really opened what gaming could be to me. And ever since then, I was like listening to. Since that, I started listening to gaming podcasts, keeping up with weekly, daily news, playing a lot more things that I wouldn't have played before, like Fallout games and you know, Far Cry, that kind of thing. Like just a little bit of. I used to play, like I said, mostly sports games, racing games. You know, the popular stuff, and that's about it. Grand Theft Auto, that's about it. Now that after that, I started getting into everything. everything, you know. So Skyrim is going to be number 1. Number 2 is going to be Super Mario World. And when I made that, I made a top 20 list a couple years ago. And when I made that top 20 list, I'm like, yes, it's definitely Super Mario World is definitely the runner-up. And when my son started playing games, the first game he played was Super Mario World. It's the one I kind of put on my original Super Nintendo. I dug it out of the closet because
Nice.
I didn't want him picking up a modern controller with like 8 buttons and shoulder buttons, all that stuff. I gave him the Super Nintendo controller, which is very simple, but kind of, you know, it had the 4 face buttons plus the 2 shoulder buttons, but it wasn't too complex.
Right.
And it's a simple game. It's a great game for a beginner, I think, because the platforming is very true. It's very fair. It's very simple. Jump and run. That's all you're doing.
Right.
You know, bopping Goombas. You know, it's a very simple concept. And he picked it up pretty good. And speaking of documenting life, Nathan, I mounted my camera, my phone, the first moment he started playing it. I mounted my camera in a way that you could see him on the chair with the screen, and you could watch him like pressing a button, seeing what it does, because he's been watching me play games. And now I'm like, here, you take it. I want you to see what you can do. And I recorded like the first 5 minutes of him playing. And maybe like when he's older, 20, 21, whatever, 18, I'm going to show him that video. Listen, like, this is the first moment you ever played a game. And I have it right here, like, so you can watch, you know. Because right now, he loves games right now. He loves playing games. I can see him being a gamer as he grows up. And I think it's awesome that I have that moment documented when he first picked up a controller and started playing. So, and he was like, I think 3 or 4 years old. So I think that's really, really cool that I have that moment there for him to see when he's older or whatever. So playing and I was replay it with him. We'd play 2-player, or I'd help him with levels. So I got to re-experience Mario World like front to back, all the hidden levels. I helped him find Star Road. Like, he, not to say he became obsessed, but he wanted to find everything too. You know, he'd see that island out there, and he'd be like, how do we get there? And I'm like, I'll show you when we get to the hidden forest, or whatever they call it, the Forest of Illusion. So like, we kind of 100%ed it together, and just replaying it with him really solidified, like, this is one of the best games ever made. Like, everything, Nathan, the music, the sound effects, the color palette, it still looks awesome playing it now. Like, you know, it aged beautifully. It is, I think everything is perfect across the board for that game. So Mario World number 2 for me. And hold on, let me find my list again. Top 20. And then, so like number 3, I would put Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo also, because Donkey Kong Country was like probably the first game in my life that I would have the schoolyard conversations about. Because speaking of like hidden levels and hidden exits to games and stuff, Donkey Kong Country was full of that stuff. So that was the first game that I would be at the school recess, lunch, whatever, outside with my friends, talking, how did you find the hidden balloon in this stage, whatever. Even on the phone at home, I had a friend who'd be walking me through stuff. So that's a really cool way to experience that. And also, I like, speaking of music and graphics, another knock out of the park right there on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Everything is just beautiful. The game sounds so good in stereo, the soundtrack, the sound effects, and it looks good. I mean, you play it now, it doesn't age as well as Mario, but at the time, it still had a definite charm to it, the way it looked. Yeah. You know, so there's Donkey Kong Country number 3 there. Number 3. Yes, how could I forget? Borderlands 2. One of the newer games on the list. So Borderlands 2, I think I've put more time logged into Borderlands 2 than any other game in my life.
Wow.
And the game that's number 4 on the list, I won't spoil it now, but it's a tie between Borderlands 2 and game number 4, because game number 4 was made before you could track your time. So I'm going to say when it comes to officially tracking time, Borderlands 2, I put more time in there than anything. I think it's like over 1,000 hours. And it came out at a perfect time in my life because I was still single. All my friends were playing it. So we would just play it almost nonstop. We would farm bosses. We would try getting to they called OP levels. Once you get max level, you get OP levels. We would try getting that. We would just farm bosses over and over again, trying to drop that legendary shield or that legendary class mod. And then, of course, I replayed it recently with my Thursday night friends. We beat it. We went through all the DLCs again, and that was an awesome trip to go back because before I replayed it a couple years ago, I haven't played it since, like, I don't know, 2014, whenever. I think it came out in 2011, 2012. So I played it for a few years after release, and yeah, Borderlands 2 for sure. Great music, really, really was a next step up from the first entry of Borderlands 1. Yeah, and a lot of people think it peaked there. I could see why. They would say that. It's because of nostalgia. Because I think Borderlands 3 is a better game, but Borderlands 2 is different for sentimental reasons for me. Because of how much time I put into it. It was a great time in my life, real carefree, living at home still. It was, no worries. It was just a great time. Also, kick-ass soundtrack too by Jesper Kid. Number 4, Super Mario Kart. So I may still have a ton of more time in Mario Kart on the SNES than Borderlands 2, but I don't know because it doesn't track. What's crazy, Nathan, is I played the mess out of Mario Kart on the SNES when I was a kid. I played it a lot as a teenager. I still played it as an adult. I remember one night, I was like 24, 25. I wasn't out at the bar, wasn't out at a club, I wasn't at my girlfriend's house. I was playing Super Mario Kart battle mode with my friend next to me, passing beers back and forth, just playing battle mode. We played like 200 rounds of battle mode, like one-on-one battle mode, like for 4 hours. Like, and I was like I said, 25, 26, whatever. Like, I was still playing Mario Kart on the SNES. Like, that battle mode, like, I knew those tracks. I could race them blindfolded, drift the corners, throw that red shell to arc it perfectly to avoid the obstacle to hit my friend. Things like, I got really good. And of course, when my son started playing Mario World, we played Mario Kart. I showed him Mario Kart, and I played a lot with him too. I'm there with him also. So I still, like, almost since Mario Kart came out like when I was 8 or 9, I still play it. So that timer, that ticker just keeps going up and up and up for whatever reason, whether I'm bored at home with my buddy as a 26-year-old or replaying it with my kid. So also fun music. I think it's endless fun with the battle mode, of course. So Mario Kart, SNES. And then to round out the top 5, wait, did we do 5? Yeah, we did 5. Skyrim.
You did like 6 or 7, but
yeah, Skyrim, Mario Kart, Borderlands 2, Donkey Kong, Mario World, and then real quick, Persona 5, number 6, right there.
Good choice.
Yes, but yeah, top 5. It's and I need to amend it because I've beaten Cyberpunk since then, so I gotta bump something and put Cyberpunk on here. So maybe Dead Space 2 will get bumped. I don't know. Yeah,
very cool.
Do you have a top? Can you craft a top 20, Nathan? You think?
I think things would rotate around too much. Like, I could do a top 3 for sure, and beyond that, everything's just kind of all over the place. So
tell me your top 3. What is it?
All right. Well, my number 3 is Super Metroid.
Okay.
My number 2 is Portal 2, and my number 1 is Chrono Trigger.
Awesome. See, I feel like I missed out on so many games, Nathan. I wish I was the gamer I am now that I was back then, because I didn't play Portal 2. Nobody showed me the way. Maybe if this year is slow still, maybe I'll finally play it. Do you think I should play Portal 2?
Yes.
Before playing Portal 1? I mean, if I didn't play Portal 1.
No. I mean, Portal 1's really short. You could get that done.
Well, they're both like 5-6 hour games, right?
Portal 2 is more like 10 to 15 hours.
Okay.
But the first game, I would say, if you struggle a little bit with the puzzles, it should take you about 4 hours to complete. If you don't struggle too much, you technically could get done with the game in an hour or less. It's not a long game at all. Portal 2 is significantly longer, but it's also better. I mean, the first one is amazing, but the second one is even better. So,
gotcha. And I miss so many of the cool JRPGs on the SNES, because I don't think I knew anybody that played them. And it's funny because I played Super Mario RPG, and I really liked it. I liked the turn-based concept, which was very new to me at the time. I really dug that. And then I never played one again, even though the Super Nintendo is littered with amazing JRPGs. Like Chrono Trigger, like Final Fantasy VI, or whatever, Secret of Mana. Like, I can go on. Like, I remember seeing all these advertisements and reviews in my old GamePro magazines, but I just never played them. And now, as an adult, I hear everybody that's on those games are like legendary for gamers our age, men of a certain age, and I just never got to experience them. Oh well, you can't play everything, right? But
yeah. Well, Chrono Trigger is also short. You could easily get the entire game done in 20 hours. Well,
gotcha.
Minus doing all the extra endings, which is basically doing like New Game Plus and then defeating the final boss at different points in the story, because there's time travel is one of the big elements of the game. But
gotcha. Right on.
Yeah.
Cool.
What is the most underrated game you've played?
Underrated. That's an awesome question. I don't know. I kind of feel like Cyberpunk is the first thing that came to mind, just because there's so much stink on it with the release, which is fair. I'm not going to argue. Like, the game was undercooked, but I feel like I've heard a lot of people that went back to play Phantom Liberty and like the 2.0 version that are like, whoa, this is actually really good now. And it's like, yeah, it is. It really is. I wish more people would give it another shot or whatever. So that was my first knee-jerk reaction. Underrated, man, that's tough. I'm trying to think of stuff my whole life that I've played. You know what? Maybe some of the Bomberman games. We had so much fun playing the Bomberman games back in the day, but I feel like me, my brother, and like 3 friends were like the only ones that knew or played Bomberman, because especially Bomberman 64. Because we would have so many nights where we just play I don't know if it was called battle mode or what, but it was just 4-player, every man for themselves, like the last dude to get blown up is the winner or whatever. And man, we had so much fun just kicking bombs at each other, getting the power-ups and things like that. So maybe Bomberman series is a game that doesn't get enough love. Also Blades of Steel. I think Blades of Steel has a certain niche audience, but Blades of Steel was a hockey game on the Nintendo that we played a bunch when we were kids, and as adults still as adults we still play a lot of the games we did as kids, like the PvP games, at least, because those are the ones with the endless variety and loops. And when my brother comes into town, who lives in Texas right now, whenever he'd come home to visit, we would still bust out Blades of Steel. And it didn't work on the Nintendo, but we bought it on the Wii shop, and we'd play it on the Wii. And Blades of Steel is kind of underrated, I think, because it's a classic. It's got easy but simple and fun arcade controls, and for just like a hockey game, it's super fun. It's like a game can take like less than 10 minutes to play. Like, there's 3 periods, each period's like 3.5 minutes or something. Super fun, lots of fun. Those are the first things that come to mind, I guess, for underrated. Maybe Borderlands 3 also. Not a lot of people they'll dog on it for the bad writing and stuff, which is fair. It is bad, I'll admit it. I'll be the first one to admit it. But you know what, Nathan, a lot of games these days don't have great stories. If you play a game with a really good story, that's like a bonus. What matters most in my book is fun factor, gameplay is tight and clean. That's what matters to me. If it's got a good story, that's extremely tertiary to me. So you'll say it has a bad story, bad writing. I'll say, okay, yeah, that's most games these days, actually. You liked Elden Ring, right?
What I played of it, yeah.
Okay, so Elden Ring is one of the best games ever made, which is fine. Like I can see that. I can see why. But not many people can tell me the story, what's going on in the story in that game. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I could ask those same people, like, what was the name of the final boss or whatever. They probably couldn't tell me. Like, or like, why are you fighting them? They couldn't tell me why. But it doesn't matter because it's fun and everything else is amazing. The controls, the sequences is all good, and that's what really matters to me. So that's what should matter.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, what game or game series would you say is your favorite?
Borderlands 3 or Borderlands with a bullet, dude.
Yeah.
Undeniably, yeah. I have so much Borderlands swag. It's just a fun to collect stuff. I got my little bandit guy here.
Nice.
I just today on Amazon they had an encyclopedia on a flash sale on Amazon today for like $13. Over 200 pages of Borderlands timeline, lore, characters. It's just the basic wiki on Borderlands. $13, 200 pages, hardcover. I texted my wife. I said, "Hey, can you order this for me?" She's like, "Sure." I'm like, "Okay, right on." So I'm always getting stuff. It's just such a fun series. The shooting has always been tight since the first entry.
Yep.
I love the art style. The art style is really cool. People think it's cell shaded. It actually is not cell shaded. It's just rendered the way it is, but they put the black outlines to give it that comic look. That's what gives it its unique look.
Yeah.
So I love the art to it. The shooting is awesome. Like it's just one of those game series that I'll play forever, dude. There's a remastered version of Borderlands 1 that came out like 2 years ago. You know, I bought that for like $10, and I still boot that up. Like if I just want to kill 30 minutes one night, when I just feel like playing it, you know. It doesn't take up much hard drive space, so it's just always there. So yeah, that's even Wonderlands. The Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is a great game. It's just the endless loop of what's gonna drop next.
Yeah.
How can I build this character? This is like my third playthrough with this class. How can I make this build different than the other ones? And there's a way to do it. There's different ways. There's different ways to carve out your skill tree to make it built around explosives, built around stealth, whatever, things like that. You know, one-shotting people with a sniper. So it's just that way that makes it so satisfying for me to play is you pick it up and within 30 seconds of the title screen, you're shooting something and there's loot dropping. It's all go, all show, you know, quick to pick up and play and instant gratification, which is also like why Mountain Dew is like one of my favorite beverages, because it's like pure junk, but it hits those chemicals in my brain that's like, yes, I want more of that. It's bad for you. It's not the most delicious food or whatever out there, but it's like the ultimate junk food. And just at this point in my life, I'm just indulging myself with what I want to indulge myself with, you know.
That's fair.
So there you go. Maybe Mario is a close second. Mario's also pretty sweet, and my kid's a huge Mario kid. You know, since I started him with World, he's played almost all of them. Mario 64, you know, the NES ones, not much, but he's played them. You know, Mario Odyssey. We 100%ed Mario Wonder, which was so good. I loved it. It was totally reminded me of Super Mario World. The controls and things like that, the platforming, the feel of the platforming felt. Which he liked playing New Super Mario Bros. For a while, the New Super Mario Bros. Series. I don't like those very much because the platforming is kind of mushy. It's not as tight as the Super Nintendo ones. But Mario Wonder, it has that tight platforming where Mario feels heavy, where he jumps and he hits the ground pretty quick. Like the other ones, he'd kind of be floaty. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So I guess Mario would be close second because I love playing with my kid. So yeah.
Very cool. Well, what game or game series was completely off your radar but ended up being something you loved?
That's tough because I usually jump on in the beginning. Maybe Far Cry. Maybe Far Cry, because I never heard of them until Far Cry 3 dropped. And I've played all of them since. Not all of them. All the numbered sequels. I did not play Primal. I haven't played Blood Dragon as much as I hear it's fun. And then there's another one in there that I'm forgetting. Primal, Blood Dragon. There's another one that's, I thought, oh, the one that's like post-apocalyptic. It takes place after 5.
Yeah. I can't remember what that's called.
The name's escaping me, but I haven't played those. I've played 3, 4, and 5, and 6. I actually have the steelbook of 6. It's not on display right now, but 6 is my favorite. If it's felt the best out of all of them. I like the tropical Fa Cuba setting. Giancarlo Esposito has an awesome performance in there. I know usually it's 50-50, I think, when you get a celebrity to be like a main character in a video game, whether it's the voiceover or a complete like facial body rendering. It's usually 50-50, and I thought he did pretty good. You know. So 6 is my favorite, but yeah, Far Cry, I guess I jumped on late, was kind of off my radar. I didn't go back and play 1 and 2. I just don't care to play older games that much. I don't know if I'd be into that gameplay style either, how punishing it can be. So then I guess maybe Dead Space, but I played Dead Space 1. I just never heard of it when I played it because I was at my friend's house and I was kind of bored with the games I had, and I was just kind of going through his collection, and I saw Dead Space and I picked it up, and I'm looking at the cover and I'm like, what is this? He's like, oh, it's a horror space game. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll try it. And within, you know, my first session, I was like, this is awesome. I love it. And then I was a big Dead Space fan after that. Nice. I have not played the remake, but I plan to this Halloween for my Halloween game. So, but I've played 1, 2, and 3. I played the Extraction, I think was the rail shooter that came out on the Wii. I haven't played that one. I read a couple of the comics. Dead Space got kind of big, and then it just kind of went away. But yeah, I guess Dead Space would be there, and also Far Cry. So yeah.
Okay. Well, of course, this is the dads and gaming thing. So we've talked a bunch about the gaming. Now let's start transitioning into the dads section of it. So first of all, what do you do for a living?
I am a inside sales supervisor at a machine and tool supply house. So I work at a desk. Sometimes I help the guys in the warehouse with doing their thing if they're shorthanded or whatever, which is fine. It's nice to get away from my computer and go wrap a pallet or two or box up an order. That's kind of cool. But mostly I'm focused at my desk, taking orders, emails, phone, talking to suppliers, coordinating stock, things and that to keep the what do you call it? What's the buzzword these days? The word's escaping me, but keeping my customers supplied with stuff, you know, basically staying on top of supply chain. There we go, keeping the supply chain moving.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. It's really cool. I have a small team. We all get along. Going into work is the least of my problems in terms of stress or whatever. Like,
yeah,
I don't hate going to work. I like the people I work with. There's days when it's slow, when my manager's not around. Like when it's slow and things like that, like I can be on YouTube for a little while, just catching up on stuff, things like that. So it's a very chill job. Yeah. So it's a lot of days off. We're closed for the holidays. If my kid is sick, I can just text or call my manager and be like, listen, I can't come in today, yada yada. Okay, cool. Let me know if you'll be in tomorrow. You know, nobody gives me any hassle over that kind of thing if I need last minute time off, which works great for family life because things do happen. As recently as last Wednesday, my kid woke up with a fever and had strep, so I had to stay home. And that was one of those moments where I had to text my boss at 5:30 in the morning. Can't come in today, sorry. Okay, no worries. You'll be in tomorrow? Yeah, I'll let you know. Okay, cool, let me know. You know, so it's a very chill job. It's nice, pays the bills, stress-free. It's not completely 8 hours of back-breaking stuff or whatever. Like I said, when it gets slow, end of day, just kind of goof around, catch up on messages on my phone, whatever. No one's gonna say anything because they know that I did all I can do that day, you know. So
yeah. Well, how long have you been married?
So 14 years. Married June 2010. So, right? 14 years? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. We've been going together since 2006, so married after 4 years of dating, and then married 2010, and then my beautiful son was born in 2017.
Nice.
Just us three right now.
Very cool. Yeah, we also got together late 2006, got married in 2009, and then we also have a son who was born in 2017. Our middle son.
Sweet.
Turning 7 this Friday. So.
Oh, congratulations! Happy early birthday.
But yeah, very, very cool. You just answered how long you've been a dad, which is 6 years.
2017.
When in 2017 was he born?
October, a week after I was born.
Okay.
So I was born October 8th, and he was born on the 15th.
Very nice.
So.
Okay.
It's awesome. He was due in November, and then he just came early. And I think it's awesome that he has an October birthday, because I feel like October is very mainstream these days. But I liked it. I loved it before it was cool. Before it was cool to get your pumpkin spice lattes and throw on your sweater vest. I was a total October kid. I think in English class, like in 6th grade, we had to like write a poem or something, because we were doing poetry. And I wrote a poem about how October was the best time of the year, you know, because like football season was back. My birthday is there. I love Halloween. Still my favorite holiday. The changing of the leaves, the colors. It's just a beautiful time of the year, you know. And then my son was born the 15th, and now we have a birthday for him every year. And the house is decorated with Halloween stuff. He likes going on like, you know, walks in the forest and stuff, the nature trails, and like just to see the colors and stuff. Like it's just awesome. It's just a weird, not to say it matters when your kids are born, right? But I think I'm happy that I have an October son. I think that's really cool.
That is cool. Well, how has your experience been as a dad?
It's been awesome, dude. It's been so awesome, especially the older he's getting and seeing his personality and tastes in things and preferences starting to shine and really come through. And I think it's awesome. It's the most amazing feeling in the world. And the older he's getting, the more you bond with them. At least that was my experience. Because when they're infants, when they're newborns, even like 1-year-olds, it's just like a potato sack that you carry around, and you're feeding them and whatever. And then now he's like a 6-year-old. Like, it's like, hey, what do you want to do today? You want to go for a walk? You want to, you know, like, what do you want for lunch? Like, and like, the way you get to know them as you see them develop into a capable, self-nurturing human being is just so awesome. And like, I never in a million years would have, like, I am not one of those dads that forces my stuff on my kid. I'll let him get into whatever he wants to get into. Like, football's my favorite like thing besides gaming. I don't care if he doesn't watch football with me. I don't care. Like, if you want to watch it, cool. If not, like, I'm not gonna like make you sit down and watch it with me. I'm not gonna force my games or gaming on you. He picked it up out of curiosity and hasn't looked back. So that's cool. That's something we can bond over now. Is both of us, like, on Friday, that's our thing. Friday, when I come home from work, what are we playing? You know, like, that's our gaming time is Fridays, you know. And then a lot more during the summer because he's not in school. So there's weeknights too. Well, we'll after work, after dinner, you don't have a bedtime really. Well, he does, but it's loose. You know, what do you want to play tonight? You know, and just to see him get into the same things that I have has been so fun. And like I said, I don't force anything on him, but just naturally, he's just picking things up that I was into. Like, he loves the Ninja Turtles, you know, like Shredder's Revenge, the beat 'em up. Have you played Turtles games, Nathan? Any of them?
I've played a handful of them. I've never finished any of them, but I've played.
Well, okay, so you're familiar with the old beat 'em ups, like the arcade game and all that stuff. Like, so like Shredder's Revenge, we just the other night he wanted to play it, and we played it through. He likes playing the last 4 levels to see the ending, and we just did that. So like, and he likes the movies, the Ninja Turtles movies, like especially the most recent one, the Seth Rogen one. Like, he loves all that stuff. So it's really fun to have a little man in your image that is like almost like you could see as a little you. The things they like to eat, the way they behave, the things they get excited over. Like, I got excited over Turtles also, and games, and Mario, and that's you right now. Like, this is what an ultimate way to bond over similar interests. So it's just been amazing. It's been so fun. It's awesome, Nathan. You know, it's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. And like my brother, when my son was baptized, my brother, the godparent, he came and said, I'm holding my boy, and he's next to me on the couch, my brother, and he says, "What's it like?" And I said, "Dude, I can't put into words. You don't know until it happens to you."
Right.
But I said, think of the one thing you love most in this world, whether it's a thing or a person, and multiply it by like 100. That's what it's like having a child, having a son, you know. And so that's the best way I could put it, I guess.
Yeah, it's funny. Just made me think of in Watch Dogs 2, of all places. I remember randomly as I was walking around, there was some NPC that was talking about becoming a dad and saying,
sure,
basically the same thing you were saying. It's just like, you just don't understand until it happens to you. And of course, at the time, I only had one kid at the time, but it was still just like, yep, totally agree. Yeah.
And it's something that, like, I think only other parents can understand is because, like, pardon me, is because, before I had children, I wouldn't say I criticize other parents, but, like, you don't know what they're really going through.
Right.
You think you do, but until you become a parent, you don't truly understand what they're going through, whether it's a moment of joy, a moment of sorrow, any moment of frustration. It's easy to see a kid at the store flipping out and judge, but until now, when there's a kid crying in public, I always feel bad. Like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Like, you don't get angry, you don't start yelling, you don't start dragging your kid through the aisle. Like, you just need to get down to the child's level, and that's something that I think most people don't get until you have one. Like, if my kid's having a hard time at the store, is frustrated, whatever, doesn't want to be there, like, I don't lash out at them. I don't drag them by the arm, by the shoulder, whatever. That, you get to their level and be like, give me a hug. You need a hug right now. You don't need me to yell at you. You don't need me to, get an attitude. You need some love and attention right now. And that's just something I think that most people don't understand until they have kids, or whenever a kid is sick, someone's child is sick or whatever. Like, the pain or, what do you call it? Sadness I feel now is, I can definitely, because I know what it's like to have a child that's sick or ailing or whatever. Yeah. So it's just something that I think once you become part of the parent club, is you start to understand the world more and, children more. And I think, not that everybody needs to do it. I'm not, if you choose to have children, that's your choice. If you don't, that's also your choice. Not everybody should be or wants to be a parent, and that's totally fine. But once you do become one, then I feel like you're part of this club that understands another aspect of the world that some other people don't. So,
Agreed.
Yeah.
What's the most surprising thing you've learned in parenting?
Most surprising thing I've learned, just how patient I could be, I guess. Just patience is key. Also, just a lot of life lessons, I guess, about the way you talk to people. Anybody. Everybody deserves to be treated with some amount of respect, even if they're a child, because there's a lot of people that feel like, I'm the adult, you're the child, you need to listen to me, my way or the highway, blah blah blah. But in reality, we share this world with them, so I think that everybody deserves to be validated. Even if they're a child, they still need to be validated and feel loved, and not feel like that they're there to please you or just to do what you say or things like that. So I guess that's the most surprising thing I've learned is just how to talk to people, not just other children, just other adults. Yeah. And there's just a different way to go about things other than just being angry or whatever, or disrespectful or whatever, I guess.
What's something you wish you realized sooner when it comes to parenting?
Yeah, so one of the wisest things I've heard in recent memory is the quickest way to kill your joy is to compare it to something else. Mm-hmm. And when I was a young parent, I tend to compare my kid to other people's kids. Mm-hmm. How the way they behaved, the way they were growing, maturing, etc. Mm-hmm. And that was for a couple years, and I had to stop doing that because I learned that every child grows differently.
Yep.
Every child grows at their own pace, whether it's walking, talking, potty training, anything. And an easy way to build frustration or to kill a joy or your joy is to start comparing it. So I let all that out. It was, it was almost like therapeutic. It was very, I was going to say lethargic, but cathartic is the word I wanted. To just let that go. Mm-hmm. And this is my son. He's going to be who he is. And he's learning, growing at his own pace, becoming a boy at his own pace. And that makes him even more beautiful than ever. And because of that, just a big burden was off me in terms of anything I was worried about or concerned with, whatever. And it was just a burden off my shoulders. Like, he's gonna learn things on his own, in his own way, in his own time. And that's something that I wish I knew sooner, is not to ever. And that's what I told is my friends had kids, other new parents. That's the one thing I tell them is, don't ever compare them to another kid. Never. Like, they are who they are. It's the old Dr. Seuss thing. You are you. This is truer than true, because there's nobody else more youer than you. Mm-hmm. And amen to that.
Yep. Well, what's your favorite thing about being a parent of a boy, and what's your least favorite thing?
Best thing, and my wife corrects me all the time, which is true, but I will say he does like the video game thing. Girls can like video games too. This is not limited to just boys. But what I like about it is I feel like it's a little watching a little me grow up. Mm-hmm. Like that's Victor Jr. right there. So that's the only difference is, the cool clothes he could wear too, which is like, again, like girls can wear a lot of boy stuff too, not a big deal. But just that kind of thing, like the way he likes being physical, sports, things like that, active, playing games, thinking it's funny when he farts, that kind of stuff, that kind of boy stuff, which is funny because he just picked up on that on his own, because it's farting, that'll never not be funny. Even as a little 4-year-old figures it out, like, And then the least thing I would say is just how like roughhousey he is. He's a little boy. He's hardly feels pain. So, and I'm a 41-year-old man. So there's times when my back is sore or whatever, and he just wants to keep going, and I need a breather or whatever, and he's still got plenty more juice in the tank. So that's one of the least fun things is Daddy needs a 5 minutes right now. let my back rest, my feet, whatever, so just the rough housing and how much ball of energy he's got,
Yeah. Well, how do you find time to game with a kid, a wife, and a 9-to-5?
How do I find time? I don't find time. The time finds me. Well, yeah, like I was saying earlier, gaming is simply free time stuff. Like once, like right now, like when I had time to do this, it wasn't until dinner we all ate, cleaned up, got the boy his bath, ready for bed. Like that's when it's game time, you know. Not all the time. That not necessarily all those boxes need to be checked. But like if my wife wants to hang out, you know, that'll always come first or whatever. So once all those other needs are met, then gaming can be done, you know, and if I have the energy. So, you know, there's some weeks when I have a good amount of time to play stuff. You know, things fall into place for whatever reason, and it's there. There's some weeks when the controller isn't touched at all, you know. So finding time is more like waiting for the time to come to you at this point for me. And there's a lot of, everybody has different ways they do things in their homes. That's just how we do things here, you know. So which is fine. You know, when I need that outlet, I'll get it, and it'll be there waiting for me. So, and there's other people, there's a lot of parents out there, or dads, whatever, mothers, whatever, that, you know, that's the common thread, is finding that time for themselves, whether it's a moment of silence, a moment to have a text chat with their friends, a time for some online retail therapy shopping, you know. You know, you just kind of have to wait for that time to come to you, and that's just how it is around here, and nothing wrong with that.
What tips would you give to other parents who are struggling to find that time?
Maybe communication. Maybe communication with your spouse or children or whatever. Come to an agreement that, you know, because you do have to make that time. You know, life gets busy, but sometimes time is a construct. You only have time for the things you make time for. And if that's unable to happen, I think it's important to have communication, conversation, like, hey, listen, like, do you mind if I go retire to the bedroom for the rest of the night? My brain could really use the self-care right now, you know. And you need to have that support in place to make it happen. A supportive partner, understanding kids, you know, kids that understand, whatever. You just have to have it. And if it doesn't happen naturally, then you kind of need to have that communication. So that's what I'll just say, is communication and understanding is critical within the home. You know, it's, you know, everyone deserves to be happy. Children, mom, dad, everyone deserves to find and have some happiness. And if happiness is on back order or whatever, you have to find a way to get it. And I would say the best way is just communication with everybody. Your children, your spouse, whatever. But yeah, talk. Make sure that your needs and wants are heard. And that's just the best way to go about it, you know?
Very good advice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what advice would you give to newer parents, especially in how to parent boys?
So yeah, going back to before, let them grow. Be patient as much as you can. Get lots of sleep. Sleep is very important for the mind. Sleep, if not enough sleep or rough sleep, can snowball into a lot of other things. You know, it can make you more cranky. It just takes a toll on your health. So get as much sleep as you can. Sleep might be hard, but then again, there goes the communication with your spouse. If you need that hour nap, 30-minute nap, you need to be heard and understood, and that's a two-way street. So it goes back to communication. So sleep is important. Just it's rough. No one said it had to be that hard, but no one said it had to be that easy neither, you know. It's the worst job you'll ever love, they say. So just keep that communication open, be understanding, be open, be patient, and have fun with it. They're only going to be little once. They're only going to be kids once. Just try to have fun with it. Try to have fun in the little things. Yeah.
Very good. All right, so we're about to close out for the night, but we cannot leave without you giving me your best or worst, depending on your perspective, dad joke.
Oh, right. I thought of one earlier doing the dishes. Oh, okay, I got one. So it's not so much a dad joke, but just a regular joke. So, because it reminded me, because we had beans for dinner, or with our dinner, not for dinner. We had beans on the side of our dinner. So it made me think of this old Mitch Hedberg joke, in which he said, "Why don't we have fried beans? Maybe they're just as good as refried, and we're just wasting our time." So yeah.
Fair enough. I imagine that's probably one of those that like I'll think about it and later I'll get it, and right now I'm just kind of like I'm tired.
Oh,
it's not fully connecting through my brain.
Yeah,
but yeah, either way.
Yeah, there you go. But dad joke,
right.
yeah, man, I feel like I hear them. Those are the dad jokes, like the jokes that go in one ear and right out the other. You think about it, it's like the latest, joke you saw on the internet. You saw it for a hot minute, you had a good laugh, and 5 minutes later you forgot you even saw it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like dad jokes you just hear nonstop. But
right.
yeah, it's hard to retain any.
Right. Yeah, I understand that. All right. Well, any final thoughts?
No, this is really fun. It's a really cool thing that you're doing, Nathan. It's fun to have exchanges with other individuals, get to know each other, talking about putting this out there for the world to see. Maybe someday other people in my life will see this. Maybe they'll play this at my funeral. Who knows? You don't want to know what kind of man Victor was? Watch this interview he did with this guy, Nathan, 50 years ago. So yeah, hopefully this is out there forever and ever and ever, and people down the road can just tune in and catch a glimpse of where we're at in this point in time in our life.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, it has been a pleasure interviewing you, talking to you more in depth, because we've gotten like little bits and pieces here and there between the Discord and
sure.
a little bit of face-to-face we had at 5 and 600, but yeah, it's very good to actually really get to talk to you more this time around. So
absolutely, and it's why I didn't hesitate at all to have this chat, 'cause I thought it'd be very fun to just have a one-on-one with somebody. I think it's really cool.
Absolutely. Well, until next time, this has been Dads in Gaming number 10. I am the Frozen Gamer 87. That is BeerMoneyVic, also Beer Money Gaming. Oh, you know what? I need backup. Rewind. Where can people find you?
Oh, sure, no problem. So on Twitch, where am I on Twitch? Well, first let's start with Instagram. Instagram, Beer Money Gaming. YouTube, Beer Money Gaming. Threads, Beer Money Gaming. And on Twitch, what is it? Oh, BeerMoneyVic. BeerMoneyVic on Twitch. I'm on when I'm on. That's about it. I think that's where I'm active. Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Threads. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Well, let's try this again. So, this has been Dads in Gaming number 10. I am the Frozen Gamer 87. That is BeerMoneyVic, Beer Money Gaming. Check him out on Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube, as well as Threads and Twitter. And in honor of the late and the great Gabe Patillo, we are about this thing! Peace!